Yo, welcome back to E J Unfiltered. We are back for our second show today, and we have some excellent guests here today, our wives. And so they're just gonna be giving y'all a little bit of information from a wife and female perspective of Costa Rica and some other information. And yeah, so check in and let's go.
All right. So today we're gonna y'all heard us talk about our experience in living in Costa Rica and everything. So today we're gonna have our wives answer a few questions about their experience here in Costa Rica, what they love about it, what motivated them to move here and all that other stuff. So we seem like we're kind of organized. Let me go down this list and ask questions properly instead of just um, freestyling it.
Yeah, because we really about to freestyle. I was trying to memorize it before I picked up my phone, but you know what? We're not getting paid for this right now, so look, we give it. This is informational purposes, so the heck with it. It'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's cool. All right, so lovely ladies, tell us a little bit about yourselves and what motivated y'all to move out of the country and pick Costa
Okay,
Rica.
so I am Amber. I am the wife of Manny, and I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina. Grew up there, spent most of my adult life in Atlanta, where Manny and I met and got married. And it was September of 2020 whenever we made the decision to relocate. And it was really my husband. It was kind of all him. I was working in healthcare and not frontline, but attached to them at the hip as a medical sales rep. And life was crazy during the pandemic, as you all know. And my husband came to me one day and said, "Babe, I think we need to move to another country." And I said, "Okay, what country?" And he said, "Costa Rica." And I said, "Let's go." That was all I needed. Literally it. And again, that was September of 2020, and we were here by December of 2021. So that was kind of our journey to getting here. That's all I needed. Yeah.
So, hello everybody. My name is Skyler, and of course, I am the wife of Emmanuel.
Mr. Awesome.
So, so what? Originally, I can say that I was. If you would have asked me this 5 to 7 years ago, would we be here right now? I'm gonna be honest with you. The answer would have been absolutely not.
Hell no.
It would have been absolutely not. I was very comfortable with working my regular little 9 to 5. I was very comfortable with our little house in a nice neighborhood. I was very, very comfortable. And then working my multiple jobs or whatever, I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I thought that's how you were supposed to live. And then 2020 happened. And I think just seeing the state of how our country was moving, it just lit a fire under me and it planted seeds. And especially with us, having children, trying to raise children, we want them to be safe. We want them to be happy. And I just was not foreseeing that future where we were. And so I was done. I was done. And so I actually worked in both education. Well, I still work in both education and healthcare. And I said, you know what? This is 19 years in, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put my time in. I think I'm going to go ahead and resign and just strictly work remote. And so as I'm working remotely, I'm realizing how much freer I feel. I just felt like, you know what, I think this is how I'm supposed to be living. And from that point, my mind was taken out of the matrix. And so I went to the manual. I was like, hey, so what would you think about us possibly moving out of the country? And he said, we can move tomorrow. And so that just kind of set the wheels in motion, and we kind of thought about some things that we knew we had to have, some things we wanted to have for our family, and Costa Rica checked all the boxes. So here we are. So I think we made the decision. We made our decision rather quickly. I think for me, once the seed was planted and I started doing the research, and then we came here the end of July of 2021, and by October 18th, 2021, we were here. We weren't playing.
Yeah. Shout out though to the alignment, right? All it took was one spouse to say, this is what I think that we need to do, or how would you feel about? And the other one was, let's do it.
Yes.
The other one was automatically on board with that. And I think that that's huge and very important, because I've talked to so many couples where one of them says, I would love to, but my spouse, right? So I think that says a lot, and definitely opened the path to us being here.
I was late to the party. He had his mind made up before we even met.
Yeah, before I met Scott, I had already had everything set up for me to move to Texas and take me to get me a contract with KBR and go work in Kuwait for like 2 to 3 years. Like, I was done.
Yeah.
And after that, I was going to move to another country and never set foot in the States again. And I met her, and I was like, I'm going to put that plan on pause. So yeah, that's what happened with that. All right, so the culture, how was it adapted to the Costa Rican culture? And do y'all have any stories about a misunderstanding with living in Costa Rica and the culture?
You want to start?
Oh, put it on me first this time. As far as adjusting to the culture, I think because my mind was so open, and plus I had did my very best to do as much research, ask a lot of questions as I could about Costa Rica, and plus us visiting, I had at least some type of idea of what realistic expectations needed to take place. So for me, whenever we moved here, besides the language barrier, because I'm not fluent. I'm working on it for a lot further than I am, but besides the language barrier, to be perfectly honest, it really wasn't that much of a huge transition. Not for me. I feel it also helped to have a nice supportive community as well. That was incredibly instrumental in the adjustment. Any misunderstandings? The first one that comes to my mind is when we were visiting, and I think I may have told y'all this before. When we were visiting, we were riding as passengers in the back of someone's car, and they were taking us to where we needed to go. And so as we're riding down the highway, a police truck pulled up behind us and had the lights going. So we're like, oh man, you know how that feels. If you look like us, you know what that feels like. That knot in your stomach is real.
Yeah.
Y'all know how that feels. So in any case, we're looking at each other. Our driver isn't stopping. And so we're like, friend,
You're gonna be a line patrol.
you gonna pull over? What's going on? So his wife she kind of turned around and said, it's not like that here. They always have their lights on. So, I'm like, oh, for real? Yeah. So, yeah, she was absolutely right. They always have their lights on. But that just shows you how traumatized we all are. And which leads to my next point is, I know for me, as part of the transition period, I also had to deconstruct some things. And I think that isn't talked about enough. I think a lot of people are so focused on getting out of it and them being physically out of it they forget that they also have to pull their minds out of it as well. So I myself, I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know and what I've experienced myself. I've had to definitely do some self-work in deconstructing what we've used to survive in our home country. So
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. So culturally very similar to you all. We knew what to expect. And, we had visited before. One of my best friends from college, they had been living in Guanacaste. It now makes 6 years that they had been here. And so, I had been in touch with them and knew what their experience had been here in addition to visiting before. So I knew at least what we were getting into culturally, which was nice. Um, as far as, again, language, yes, I am not fluent, though I do have a minor in Spanish that I got in college, and, I had taken it in high school, but you don't use it, you lose it, right? Nobody's speaking fluent Spanish in Atlanta.
You gotta be pretty damn close.
I am intermediate and a conversationalist. I can get by. Like we've gotten by with this. But it's a challenge. And also what we have talked about as well is regardless of how proficient you are, there is that other component related to being confident enough to express and to communicate. And so, there's that aspect of it as well, but community was huge. What you all may not be aware of, or probably, I don't know, you all may have shared this, but what was interesting to us was that July, I think it was, in 2021, Manny and I were about to go to bed. And all of a sudden, he gets a call from Emmanuel. And we hadn't talked. Like, it wasn't, even though we knew each other, we were fond of each other. I'll never forget our first meeting when Manny and I were still dating. You all were married, of course, and we had come over to your home. And I just remember leaving there like, babe.
Yes.
We got to get back up with them.
Yes.
We have to double date. Like, I love Sky. Like, I like, that's my girl. Like, I get her. Very similar personalities and sense of humors and things like that. That never happened. For whatever reason, life, right? We lived in different areas of
COVID life in Atlanta. I mean,
yeah.
They were in Dallas, we were in Lithonia. I mean, that's like
That's
another
a
hour drive,
polar opposites.
but
Yeah.
just, I mean, you can meet downtown, but sometimes you like, I don't want to go downtown, and so it was just life was life.
It didn't happen
in Atlanta.
Yeah. So then when he calls, and Manny was like, Emmanuel calling me. I'm like, okay. And he answered, and Emmanuel asked, like, after the niceties and, hey, what's going on? How you doing? It was, didn't y'all go to Costa Rica recently? Now, it was the previous November, but Manny was like, yeah, I mean, late last year, but yeah, we did. And, it was like, wow, what's up? Manny was like, bruh, we moving there. We were like, shut up. We are too. That was literally what I thought was icing on the cake. And it probably was, because it was, I knew, about the family that was in Guanacaste, my girlfriend and her family. So that was great, but that's a hump. That's a hike from Central Valley. So finding out that you all were going to be in Central Valley as well was beautiful, because it was like, you know what, if we don't know anyone else there, we have this one couple, and this couple that we get along with, we're very fond of. That'll be our, the start of our community. And then the cherry on top, so that was the icing. The cherry was getting here and meeting the rest of the expat community here, because there's a bonding that occurs through this shared experience. So that has been amazing. As I mentioned, language hasn't been too big of an issue, but we've definitely had those experiences where we're trying to get a message across, and the response is one that leaves us looking like deer in headlights. And that blank stare where you don't know what to say at that point. It's like, I've already asked más despacio, por favor. I've already asked, can you slow it down? I've already asked you to repeat it. and nothing is making sense at this point.
Sometimes you just be like, okay.
Yeah.
You be like, see, no, and just keep it moving because
You
you
know,
try to
one thing
use the
is that-
translator, but then translate it's certain words might mean certain
Yeah.
things different in Costa Rica
Very true.
versus you using
Spanish
Google.
versus
yeah,
English.
yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Like using the translator,
Yeah.
and then
Definitely
translator's gonna give you
dialectal
something
difference.
totally different than what
Yeah.
they're actually trying to tell you. So
Correct.
you just kind of stuck at
Yeah.
times. But all in all, again, it still wasn't an issue. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. We'd be like, oh my god, like, oh, we want to move, we want to leave,
It hasn't jammed us up.
No.
Right?
No.
That's the good thing.
and we
Yeah.
met so many people. Again, Tigo friends,
Yeah.
other expats, African American expats that's here that are kind of fluent in Spanish, and so you make do and you make it happen. But it's a lot of Ticos also that know English, but they're kind of like us, like
Yeah.
they don't, they're nervous about speaking,
Mhm.
in conversation, and it's like, okay, well, you just got to get to that comfort level with one another, but you just make it happen. So
Yeah.
What I
Agreed.
can also appreciate is that when they see that you try,
Yes.
they appreciate that.
mhm.
If they try to help
Absolutely.
you. It's not a situation like I've heard in other countries that you can try to speak the language and they give you a hard time about it, but that's not how it is here at all. They definitely appreciate the effort.
Agreed.
Something that be killing me. When you run into a Tico or Tika, and they see you struggling with your Spanish, like, oh. And the biggest thing is Google Translate is like same Spanish versus Costa Rican Spanish, where they don't roll their R's, and a lot of stuff is a lot of the words are the same, a lot of
The meanings
the
aren't the
meanings
same.
are the same. So it's like I be sitting there struggling. I'm like, I want like a good 2-3 minutes, like, lo siento un poco español, asking for help, or like we did today at store, like, ¿cuánto para esta? And then the dude was looking at us, and he was like, well, there's like this many seats in here. I was like, no, precio. And he was like, oh, the price. And then he told us the price. But the thing that be killing me is they sit there and let you struggle. And then they just bust out English, like, look, is this what you're asking for?
Oh, hey, look, look,
Been there.
quick little story about that, right?
Yeah.
So our friends Elena and Delvon came here, and they stay in Atlanta, and he's in the military, about to get ready to move to Germany. But so they came a couple months ago, probably like, I don't know, 2 months, 2-3 months ago.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, we'll see y'all soon, like next year
Oh,
in
yeah.
Europe. But look, so me and Delvon, we go to the KFC down in Grecia, right? And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh man. So I see the one lady in there that we, I see her probably every few times we visit there, right? I'm like, oh man, she speaks Spanish. She just rattle it off, right? And so I was looking, and I'm just kind of looking back at Delvon, and I'm like, man, what the hell I'm gonna eat? And so I said it in English, right? And the lady was like, she rattle it off, what you want, and I'm like, oh man, oh, she had me stuck for a second, because usually I've gotten really good at ordering food and stuff, right? Man, I don't know. KFC just have you nervous, because it's kind of like you go to Starbucks, you got a whole bunch of people in line behind you, and
Yes,
you don't know what you want
it
to
is
order.
like that.
Or she'll send me in the Starbucks and be like, yeah, give me the upside down macchiato. I'm like, burnt me, what? I don't know. I just give me this right here, right? But look, so I was just like, man, the lady was like, she heard her speaking English, right? And I was just pointing. I just was like, big box. It was just like, and she was like, oh, okay, yeah, you want the big box? I'm like, oh, so every time we come in here speaking English, she gonna hit us with the Spanish, because she'll try to say it in Spanish, because she do a little better than me going into KFC, right? But I was like, yo, like, if I would have known, she would have spoke English, or and it was good. She was like, oh, I'm sorry, my English isn't that good. I'm like, yo, it was fire. But yo, it's crazy how, again, like, just, you having that it's language barrier, and it's not really a barrier being here too in Central Valley because it's a lot more Ticos and Ticas that speak English here just because of the job market here, so you run into more that like, oh, do you prefer English or Spanish? You be like, oh yeah, English, whatever. But it's cool, like you said, everyone is patient with you, and they're not, being jackasses or, about you not speaking the language. And again, that's kind of different when you talk about people coming to America and it's like, oh, you got to speak English. It's the language here and it's the official. No, America doesn't have official
There is
language.
no official language for
You
the
know,
United States.
Yeah.
and so again, you know, when you talk about people coming from all France, Italy, all these other Scotland and all these other places, wherever in Europe, and they migrated to the United States, they didn't know English, but sorry, but they don't get the same grace for people brown and black, color coming from other, countries and being patient with them when they're coming to America, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely understand it, and I'm more patient even with our trips back to the US, and I might run into somebody speaking Spanish, and I'm really, really aware of that, and just giving them grace, and just being patient, and I even actually try to speak Spanish with them as well, and hit them with a couple English words too. I'm giving Spanglish, but it works though. But yeah,
Yeah.
Costa Rica is cool. It's cool.
And just to piggyback off what Sky said about this process, this mental process that you aren't aware of, physically you leave the States, and then on foreign soil you recognize that there's a deprogramming process that has to occur, i.e. with the police. And how our experiences here have been great with the police
Sure has.
versus the States, and the challenges that we are aware of that occur there, but in so many different aspects of it. And you recognize that need to continue the work to deprogram, and to recognize that when racism is not systemic, you don't have to worry about the same type of treatment, the same type of systems that are in place in the States. It's just not a thing here across every area, you name it, whether it's healthcare, whether it is the judicial system, or
Prison
just
the pipeline.
absolutely, absolutely, just navigating day to day. It's been very, very different, but very, very refreshing and pleasant. So I just want to.
But I don't want anybody to misunderstand what
Yeah.
Amber is saying. She's not saying that there is no
that it doesn't
racism.
exist.
We're not saying that.
Exactly. It's just not systemic here. It's not embedded in the
Clarify.
fiber. Exactly, in the fiber of the country, and the way that and let me even step back and say, it's not like historically slavery didn't exist on Costa Rican soil either, right? There's still a history of that, but our experience as expatriates here has been very similar, or very different, excuse me, than our experience in the States. And so I just want to be clear there, because it does still exist.
All right. And on that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. All right. Welcome back to E J Unfiltered. Even though we're being kind of filtered, we got to fix that.
A little bit, but it's all good, man.
The wives, they're more professional than us, man.
A whole lot, So, so we're gonna go ahead and hop up in this thing, man. And our next question for our wives would be, how has it been being an expat influence your career, and what unique opportunities have come about in your professional life so far?
On me. Okay. So, as I touched on previously, I was in healthcare, in in the medical field as a sales executive, and I have been doing that almost 16 years. So it's like you said, that's what I thought that I was supposed to do. So being an independent contractor, some of these remote work from anywhere type positions was not really on the radar, even though I did work remotely. I just had to go in and meet with clients. And so stepping outside of that actually has been the best thing ever. And I didn't expect it to be this good. It was scary leaving corporate, feeling secure, right?
Yes.
And it had been, for the most part, very secure, but I had been laid off twice in all of the years that I had worked. And so moving outside of that and becoming an independent contractor, starting my own business, that has been very, very rewarding. I launched my company, Scales and Alchemy, in 2021. I am today a certified trauma-informed pregnancy loss practitioner, and I support women to heal from the emotional trauma of pregnancy and infant loss. And I essentially utilize the time from the time that Manny and I made the decision to leave the States. I utilize that time to really acquire additional certifications. And so I became a certified holistic practitioner, a Reiki master, a meditation and breathwork practitioner, an herbalist. And then I utilize those healing modalities to support my clients, my ladies, to heal mind, body, and spirit, so holistically. And that has just been extremely rewarding because it was purpose from a personal struggle that we experienced, and being able to make an impact in that way has been really rewarding and gratifying. But also just having the freedom. I'm not tied down to my system day in and day out. I'm not getting pinged on Teams day in and day out. I'm not having to go in and meet with clients. My business is completely virtual, and the clients that I support as an independent contractor as well, it's all virtual. And so just having the freedom, while also not requiring as much. So cost of living is a lot less, but there's also not a huge difference between what I was earning there and what I am making today. Not so significant, right? It is a difference, but we haven't missed a beat, and that's the part that I'm very grateful for. And so, it's not without its challenges. When Manny and I first came here, we did not have jobs. We both left our corporate roles and, offloading property because we were rehabbing houses. We were had our own company as residential redevelopers in Atlanta. And so we were able to offload property. We had money from investments. We saved a ton from our corporate roles. And so for the first year that we were here, we didn't work. And that was the goal. We wanted to de-stress. We wanted to deprogram and give ourselves the time to just rest and relax for a while. But then we started to we recognized that need to get back into it. And, once we started to look and explore, the opportunities presented themselves, and the rest has essentially been history. So it has been, like I said in the beginning, a really, really great experience for us in that space.
And where can the people find you again, babe, for
social media,
your website and the social media and everything?
Yeah, so you can find me at Scales and Alchemy on Instagram. You can search Scales and Alchemy on Facebook as well, and my website is www.scalesandalchemy.com.
Cool.
Okay. Yes,
Your turn, Scott.
Okay. So, what was the question again?
Hopefully I stayed on task.
Yeah, you did. How has being in the next century influenced your career, and what opportunities and challenges have you forced?
Okay, so I guess it would be best to probably give some type of background, right? So I am a speech pathologist and an audiologist. Yes, you can do both. And worked in mostly in the educational setting for next month will be year 22. So in addition to that, I've worked in long-term care facilities and private practice independently. I've done all of those things. And as I stated before, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I was burning the candle at both ends, and I thought I was content with that. I was making good money, and I thought I was happy with that. Until, I was forced to kind of sit, and I didn't really have a choice but to kind of do some self-reflection. And that's when I kind of entered into the realm of working remote. And I love working remote. I love the flexibility of it. I love, I love the flexibility.
But look, you don't have to sit in traffic.
No, that
You know what Atlanta traffic is like, right?
It's just that has just been everything to me. And sometimes you don't know you need something.
Yeah.
Until you're forced into it, and that's my story with that. So
what do you do now?
what do I do now? I still work remotely, but I've also become an entrepreneur and started my own travel business. And the name of my business is called J Quest Travels. And what I do is to help families, help people travel all around the world. I help you as a travel advisor. I facilitate your travel. Also, I show other people how to do what I do. Okay, so yeah, you can find me on Instagram at JQuest Travels. You can find me on Facebook by my name, Skyler Joseph. And on TikTok, JQuest Travels.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, man. We're so proud of you ladies, for everything that you guys are doing here, and it's just really encouraging. Is it any advice you would want to give other expats that are looking to move and looking for remote positions, or just any advice about finding a new job while living in a different country, if their job can't, or won't allow them to work?
That was going to be my first response, was find out first what the laws are to the country you're moving to. Because here in Costa Rica, unless you are a permanent resident or you have some type of special circumstance, like you're being sponsored by a company, other than that, it's illegal for you to work here as a foreigner, and for good reason. They want to support their citizens first. So make sure you know the regulations in regards to what is required for you to work, or whether you can work in the country or not. The next thing that I would offer is, and this is probably speaking for myself, if I were to speak to myself, 2.5 years ago, this is what I would say to myself: you need to open your mind to possibilities besides your 9 to 5 or a regular 9 to 5. You need to open your mind. You need to come up with out of the box solutions, because you were doing something that most people only dream they could do. How many times have we all heard, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. I would just do that if I could. You can do it, but it takes some ingenuity and thinking outside of the box as far as a remote position, as far as starting your own businesses, you have to kind of open your mind to other possibilities besides what has been ingrained and pushed to what is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Absolutely. And I think it's just important to have a plan, because regardless of the path, regardless if you're going to remain employed by your current employer, or whether you are seeking remote work elsewhere, embarking on an entrepreneurial journey, have a plan.
Yes.
And a backup plan.
Yes.
And a backup for the backup. Exactly. Because we have seen people come without that. And Costa Rica has an allure. And when it calls, people feel that need to answer that call. And that's great. However, it can also chew you up and spit you out.
Absolutely.
And we have seen it with people who aspired to expatriate to Costa Rica permanently, and that turned into a temporary situation because the plan, either they did not have one or it just wasn't a solid one. And so I think that that is also something that's very important if you are considering relocating to another country.
Yep, and we told y'all that on the first episode, so we weren't planning. So we didn't rehearse this. This is coming out of their mouth.
We've seen them come and go, for real.
Absolutely.
This country will chew you up and spit your ass out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just gotta go home.
Yeah, it's like if you're not welcome, the country will tell you that, and it's just not like the people. It'll just be the environment that you just can't adjust. It'd be certain things that just happen to your body, or you know, it's wild. It's one of those places where it's just like, all right, you bring in bad vibes here, we don't want you here, so you're gonna have to go ahead and peace up out of here. So definitely so. It's like building the support system. Um, how would you ladies say, that actually worked out for you as far as like, social networks or, professional, um, how have you found most of your groups and communities so far?
It just seemed to be built in. There, as I touched on earlier, there's something about the shared experience that bonds you, right? We have friends here who feel so much like family and felt like that instantly from the first time that we met them, and who we are even closer to than people who we knew for years back in Atlanta, who were friends and family. Don't get me wrong, or friends who we viewed as family, but there's something about this experience, and especially because the Black experience is a very unique one. It's a unique one on U.S. soil, and most of the Black expats who have moved here have also this intention behind leaving the States related to the deprogramming, the de-stressing, the deconstructing. So again, we've been bonded in that, and so that makes a difference. But you meet one person, and then it's, I gotta get you in touch with so and so, or I need to connect y'all to this person, and so that is essentially how the network has grown, like wildfire, literally. And so we have this powerful and successful and just beautiful network of people who we know are there for us no matter what, and who we also desire to be and strive to be there for no matter what as well. So that's been really amazing. There hasn't been any challenge as far as I'm concerned there.
No. I think that's one of the best things that I can say about this whole living here, these whole 2 years, is just the sense of community. Like, we want that in the U.S., but unfortunately, we're just not able to achieve it because of other outside entities. But here, we got.
Yeah.
And it's just to give you an example. My mother recently passed, and I had to go to the U.S. Right? I got cards, I got calls, I got flowers sent to my mother's funeral. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. People from here supporting me in the States as I am going through this horrible experience, this horrible time, and people who I just met, maybe 6 months ago, a year ago, were sending me flowers for my mother's funeral. If that ain't support, I don't know what is. Meanwhile, I know some people who live the next neighborhood over are blood relatives who were not even there. who I did not get a call or a text from. So it definitely hit different as far as the bond that we share here versus other bonds from the States.
Mhm.
So what are some of the resources? So how did y'all find your initial support group, anything like that, when you first moved here?
Facebook. They're actually that has been incredibly helpful. Is going on Black Tip Facebook groups and connecting that way. Social media. I know a lot of people are against it. It definitely has its evils, but it also has its pluses as well. And I mean, it was some people were like, "Hey, you know, can y'all meet me here? I'm new. I just flew in. Can somebody meet me here?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's meet up." And it just starts from something that simple.
Yep.
The cool thing is the functions here. When we have functions, it's like a lot of us, well, most of us ain't blood related. We just know each other either recently from over here, or some of us knew each other from back in the States. But it's like, even like when we have Juneteenth, or we got a fish fry coming up, I'm excited about that.
Yo, I just said, look, I was like, yo, I am so excited. I told her that, and I was like, since our anniversary is New Year's Eve, I was like, yo, I am so excited for this fish fry.
It's like we have those events, or like Coco's birthday party,
Yes.
or Thanksgiving, and it's almost
Heidi's birthday.
Yes.
Yes,
It's
Heidi's
like
too.
having a family reunion
It
with
is.
distant family.
It really
And,
is.
but except for the distant family is actually close.
Yeah.
So I love it. Like I wouldn't trade that. Like if you told me I had to move back in the States and I ain't had no choice, I'd be like, I'd be a bum, because I like community here a whole lot more than what I was getting in the States.
Yeah, it hit different. It
Yeah.
definitely
It
it
does.
hits different.
It does.
Mhm.
It's definitely like a family reunion that's happening probably on a monthly basis.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
We get together and we do it up, and it's usually potluck style. Everybody seems to be able to cook too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the dishes,
Yeah.
it is, because you don't find that in at every
Son,
function,
you know,
right?
you be looking at like, man, I'm not touching that shit.
Exactly, and we don't typically have that experience. Like everybody, brings or cooks to their strengths, I guess. They bring something, and we all enjoy and have an amazing time. So that's been perfect.
And true to Black American fashion, there's always a lot of food.
Always.
Yeah. A lot of food.
A lot of food.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we'll have like the Tika show up to the events, and they're like, it's so much food.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, just start eating.
That's how we do. Grab a plate, let's go.
Yep. And something that I appreciate also, for one, we are in a place where, we don't experience food deserts. We're not experiencing kind of what we were talking about, some of the systemic ills that you experience in the States, where if you live in an area that is predominantly minorities, then is your food safe? Is your water safe? We don't experience things like that. We shop at the local feria, the market, so the food is grown by our neighbors and things like that. And so we're getting very fresh food, but also everyone is very health conscious.
Mhm.
So we attend these functions, and a good amount of what's there is vegan, which is amazing. That's perfect. It's vegetarian, or, it's just people are very mindful. And that's another thing that I appreciate, is that it's very different from many of the experiences in the States. And so it's good food, is good people, is family, and we're nourishing ourselves in so many ways that are just supporting us here. So it makes it amazing, very worth it.
Well, on that note, we're gonna take another break, and I want to get messy. Like I want the next segment to be like messy, petty, talk about pop culture or something. Let's have some fun.
Hey, but you know it's a good one, man. The good question about this one that you put on here
What's that?
on the list, it was what do you miss?
Let's talk about that.
Homesickness and co-fam, but the sickness, man. That's like, yo, we can spend 15, 20 minutes on that. But yeah, like let's go ahead and check back in. We'll see y'all in a minute. Yo, E J Unfiltered, we back again. All right, this is gonna be our last break. We promise. so, so uh, maybe. All right. Well, it probably will be. We're gonna keep this one short and sweet and wrap this thing up for y'all. Our wives over here dropping jewels, and they doing their thing. They keeping us on task, and because that first one, yeah, it might have been a little rough, but it is what it is. So, tell us about what you guys deal with, when it comes to like homesickness, coping mechanisms. How do you cope with homesickness or, missing home, the home country, your loved ones? Are there any specific rituals or activities that help you feel more connected, to your roots?
Yeah. So I haven't dealt with a lot of homesickness, thankfully. And that's been a blessing because I was a bit concerned about that. My mom and I are really, really close. And granted, she lived in North Carolina when we were in Atlanta, so it's not like a situation where mom was right down the street. But she was a drive away. And so I definitely had concerns there about just not being quite as close. I think what made that I guess separation a bit easier was how supportive she was. From the moment that I told her that we were leaving, she, though of course she would want us to be closer, and she expressed that, like, I'm gonna miss you, but she understood and she said, y'all go live your life, do what you have to do what makes you happy. And she has been here to visit. She's planning her next trip for early next year, and we video call, we video chat as often as possible, so I get to see her. We started to do virtual facial sessions together, where it was like every other Sunday or something like that. We would get together. We kind of fell off, but we are getting those started again. We talked about it, and so that helps us to stay connected. But also, whenever it comes to rituals, as you mentioned, that's just been an ongoing practice for me in general. So it's not something that had to be initiated and implemented once we got here. I have an altar. It is my ancestral altar. I have, a very strong connection to my ancestral lineage. And so I am, as a part of my daily rituals, I am connecting with God, with my ancestors. I am, as I mentioned, a practitioner of breath work and meditation. So those things are a part of my practice in addition to prayer, and connection there. And just recognizing that God is everywhere. That is my belief. And so connecting to nature, being open and mindful, those things are very important to me. And so they are embedded in my ritualistic practices that keep me rooted, and grounded, and connected to those that came before us and transitioned. So that's been my experience as it relates to homesickness and coping mechanisms. It's just those chats as often as possible have really, really helped. And then being able to host whenever they visit. We've had a lot of friends and family visit as well, which has been such a blessing, but also getting back and continuing to connect with them as well.
Okay. For me, yeah, I haven't experienced homesickness either. I mean, I'm just being honest. I haven't, and you know, luckily, and I am close with my family, especially, like I mentioned earlier, my mom has passed. So I talk to my dad pretty frequently, just to check on him, make sure he's okay. He should be coming here next spring. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's his first time leaving the country. So very excited about that. My sister, I still talk to her pretty frequently. In fact, right before we started today, I talked to one of my best friends who's still in Atlanta. So I still am connected to some people, those people that I miss the most. But other than that, nah, I'm good.
I feel you. No.
I'm good. I've been good. I like Amber, I also am strongly connected to my ancestors as well. So I also have my altar, and already had that going as well. So that hasn't changed. Just something to mention too, just because I've seen when people use our ancestors sometimes to kind of keep them where they are in the U.S. I've seen people say, hey, well, my ancestors bled and died here, which is, I get that. I understand that. I understand that leaving is not for everyone. It's not. This is not for everybody. But one thing that I had to stress to that person who tried to make that argument is we take our ancestors with us.
Everywhere.
We take them with us. If it wasn't for them, they died and bled so we could have the opportunity to make the moves that we are making now. They couldn't leave. They weren't able to leave. But they went through those horrible, horrible ordeals just so we would have the privilege and the opportunity to do what we're doing today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make that point. But no, I'll miss that.
All right. So how about this quick question? What are some creature comforts y'all miss?
Oh.
I know one for my wife, but what are some creature comforts y'all are missing here in Costa?
Oh, highways with 5 to 10 lanes that can get you from point A to point B.
I think we mentioned that on the first episode.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
Like-
That's a challenge because you look at the GPS and you see, oh, we're just 15 miles away, but it's gonna take us an hour and a half to get there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wait, whoa, wait, and you're trying to search for alternate routes, and the alternate routes are even longer, so that's a challenge. But pura vida, right? You learn to adapt, and
That is real.
it's just okay. That's why they got people selling things on the highway. So if you need a snack, guess what?
So they
We
they
got
already
a
know
snack.
it's long.
They already know what
Yep.
time it is.
We got a snack the other day when we got home. We had to couple of little spots and run and go get the dog and everything. And he was like, "Oh, you got some chips?" Man, we were so hungry. Oh, yep, get the chips.
Plátanos,
Platanos,
papas,
everything.
It's
You get your drinks.
Got your bottled water,
Some
all
of
that
the
stuff.
Jello
all that
stuff.
stuff.
Man,
Exactly.
don't fool with that.
Luckily, it's not something that we have to make a habit of doing, but we have definitely. It's a thing here. But yeah, the transit system is not the same, which is a challenge. I miss Chipotle.
Yes.
I miss Chipotle. And in fact, we just got back from the States, from North Carolina, visiting my family, and I got my Chipotle fix. And that was everything to me. My veggie bowl was amazing. So yeah, I mean, that's like the only restaurant that I really miss. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure as you all continue, as we continue down the line, if y'all answer some of the questions, I'm going to say, oh yeah, for sure. That's something as well that I miss, but there's not a lot. We came here with the understanding that we were moving to Costa Rica, and our objective has been to assimilate and adapt and not try to make this the States.
Right.
And so because of that, if there are things that we can't find here, if it's not something that can be mulled over by friends, or if it's not a necessity, then we either do without or we find things to substitute. And, it's been fine.
Yeah. Or you find a good little shipping company and you get your Amazon stuff and
Yeah,
everything
do
over
that
here
too.
too. So
Exactly.
yes, we have
That is
Amazon. You can get everything over here. You know, it's gonna
It's a little
cost.
slower.
It's a little slower.
Sure.
It's gonna cost you a little money. But yeah, if it's certain things that you can find or whatever you pretty much need, you can order it. Other than some stuff that's marked or prohibited from the country or whatever that you have to, that you can ship through, shipping channels. But majority of stuff that you need, you can, if you can't find it here, you can get it if it, get it here if it was, something that was very, very important to you though.
So,
Oh, what is it that I missed? You seem to know.
Target.
Nope, I found Alice.
Oh, that's right.
Nope, I found a replacement.
Okay.
I'm assimilating.
You assimilate.
Yes.
Look, our first year here, Sky was like, I miss Target. I miss Target J. I miss Target J. Then we discovered Alice, and she was like,
I'm good.
Target what?
Yeah.
Target who?
Yeah.
And Alice is like 2 stories in the mall, so she be in there.
Yes.
I love me some Alice.
I don't really miss anything. Chipotle was it for me.
Yeah.
But I think because I've gone so long without it, I don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Now, if I was still going out and bar hopping and stuff, I would say Waffle House.
Oh yeah, definitely. We talk about that too. I'm like, man, if they ever had a Waffle House here, yes. Give me a double hash brown, Texas cheesesteak, no bacon, no onions, double meat, extra pickles, and a sweet tea.
That's a good thing they aren't here.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
It
miss
it
them.
really is because I mean
Yes.
it is you know it's a horrible meal to have.
And I'm terrible because I'm like, mine is the All Star special. I'm like, give me an All Star special. I want 3 eggs, not 2, scrambled cheese. I want my hash browns with jalapenos and cheese. Like I just
Yes, he was serious. I didn't even.
Absolutely.
And then I'm like, can I trade my sausage for an extra egg, make it 4 eggs? They'll do it.
Oh,
Yeah, I get down. I want my waffle brown, not light skin. I'm dark. I want dark like you. So yeah.
Yeah, I would get a pecan waffle too. That was my go-to. So definitely so. I would say, yeah, Chipotle, miss that. And I would probably say, I'm not even gonna lie, man. Look, I miss Bojangles because when we went back just now,
they fries was
hey,
it. I'm not gonna lie.
just
They fries was
having
it.
them fries and the biscuit. I love Bojangles biscuits.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing.
The Bowberry.
Hey, the Bowberry,
It will
that's the jam right there. Yeah, but I had to get a chicken sandwich, and it was so good. It was heaven. It was heaven in my mouth.
Okay, so after thinking about it, I think the only thing that I really miss is I think it's not a particular thing. I think it's ease of access.
Yeah.
And I think because usually what we take for granted is, and part of it is the language barrier. I'm not gonna lie, but part of it, some of it is okay. I need a cake made. Where do I go? I need.
Call Mandy. I still owe them a cake. I told them I'll make them a pound cake when I came back.
My birthday's January 16th.
Okay, well I'll save it for the end.
Oh, yeah. Just putting that out there. Y'all hold him accountable. But I think just trying to find certain things that you may not get on a normal basis. Let's say like you need a T-shirt made a certain way, or you want to find a certain thing. You really have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that might be able to find it, or know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody can make it for you, or it's trying to find like even for your equipment.
Yeah, the adapters and stuff.
Yeah.
I was going all the way to Alabama to get them things. That's like an hour drive. And it's only 12 miles away from me. But it takes like an hour to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Today we just having the like, all right, let's go to what's the breakfast spot we like to go to?
Moselle.
No, it's not Moselle.
The other one. Soda Otter.
So Soda Otter. And Banks by the way. And that's in San Ramon. And we was like, we just having to walk around, and then we ran to the music store. The music store here, and it's like a small mom and pop music store. Better supplies than the one in the city mall. So all the way up to the big ass music store. And the one here has better supplies and everything. So I'm like, man, I know where to go now.
Yeah, I mean it's just trying to find out when you need certain things where to go. Part of the fun is trying to find out, walking around and finding out, oh man, this little store here got this and this and this.
Exactly.
That's part of the fun and part of the adventure, but at the same time it can be like, I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah, especially if you got hurt. Because I think yesterday we go to that music shop, we walk, and I looked at my watch, we got to walk 4 miles. Like we were just walking, going inside drinking sodas in the little stores and stuff like that, just to look around. And I was like, dang, I walked 4 miles today. Dang. And that was before 11 o'clock.
So I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of miss that. Just knowing where to go.
Yeah.
But I would say this as because I know you got more questions. I would say that the trade-off for that lack of convenience and everything, to have the ability to lower your guard where you live you're more comfortable,
Mm.
not worry about why people looking at you a certain way, or worrying about police when you walk past them or they get behind you.
Yeah.
That trade off, I'll take that trade
Every
10 times out of 10.
Oh yeah,
All
definitely,
day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Okay.
definitely. So
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think just kind of to speak to the what you were mentioning before about what we were talking about before about deconstructing your mind, like learning to turn that off too. And because we're always so used to being on guard all the time, hyper vigilant, but that was our means of survival.
Yep.
But here, turning that off when you've always had to have it on, that was a whole. I'm still fighting with that sometimes, and realizing that people are genuinely being kind, genuine kindness.
yeah, we talked about that in the first
Oh
episode.
yeah,
But
yeah.
no, you do, because you feel like someone has, another motive for you, and it's just like, no, it's just like, hey, I just really want to just help, versus like you run up, somebody run up to you in the gas station, in the States, and you like, all right, what you want? Are you trying to rob me, or, you trying to hustle me or whatever? It's just like, it's just always scams and hustles going on. And again, not to say that doesn't happen here,
Yeah.
but the chances of you coming across that is it's a lot.
It's rare.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
definitely a lot less.
Yeah.
Look, it messed me up. I remember the first time I moved back to the States after living here. I pulled up to the gas station and sat in my car. I was like, where's the fucking thing? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll
They
pump
pump
gas.
your gas
Yep.
for you
It
here.
is full
Mhm.
service.
Yes.
And not just gas.
They'll watch the windshields, check the air, the tires, everything.
Hello.
Yep.
All of it.
Yeah. Hey, Joe flew back to, he said he flew to Boston. It was either Boston or Michigan, but he had to learn how to pump his gas. And that was just something
Poor
that,
guy.
because
He's not accustomed
you're
to
not
it.
accustomed to it. When you
Yeah.
here in Costa Rica, you're not pumping your own gas, So if you go to the States, you got to figure out the machine, putting your card in, and everything. Like, so it could be stressful for people, going over, to the States from Costa Rica, because that's something that they might not really, you really don't think about, because in your mind, that's something that we did for, 20, 30 years, or however long we've been driving, or even before we driving. Our parents like, get out, go pump the gas or something, right? So yeah, it definitely it can be an adjustment for people.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
So last question, ladies. Any other advice that you want to give, aspiring expats that are, looking, and again, it's not just, just moving to Costa Rica. This, can apply to wherever you want to actually go, in the world.
Yeah. We've touched on most of it. Just having a plan, being open-minded, as you mentioned, um, having a willingness to adapt to your new environment, as opposed to trying to force the new environment to adapt to what you are accustomed to. Learn the language, connect with the locals as much as possible. They have the knowledge and the wisdom, not only about the land, but some of those, kind of what you were touching on with the access, right? That has saved us tremendously.
Yes.
Just connecting with amazing people who are local to the country, local to the area, being connected. Those are some of the main things that I would have to say will serve you if you should find yourself in this situation or making that decision to transition.
If you don't get anything else out of this podcast today, please, 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 for the love of all that is holy, please research.
Yes.
Please research. I
Research.
don't care where
Yes.
you go,
And
what you
visit.
do. Please research
And visit.
and visit. But that's part of the research.
Not part of the weekend vision.
No.
Like
No.
at least 10 to 10
As
14
much
days.
as much as you can manage, and I do understand that not everybody has the ability to take a week off or whatever, because that's how our system is designed, right? But if you aren't able to physically come here, please take the time to research. Reach out to people. We all got socials. Reach out to us. Like, reach out to someone, please. I beg of you. Just as it has been mentioned before, we have seen so many people come here without a plan, without doing the research, and they're sitting here looking sick. Don't be that person.
3 to 6 months they back in the States.
Please. We see it in the groups all the time. People asking basic questions that they could have just used the search bar and found the answer. Or they could have just went on YouTube and found the answer.
Exactly.
It's just, please just take the time. You are changing your life if you decide to move to another country. This is a life-altering decision.
Yeah.
Please take the time and be serious about it and do the research.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, E and J Unfiltered, episode 2. We are out. We will see you all on the next episode. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have some really awesome stuff. You know, we're going to really just keep giving y'all gems and, you know, dropping information for you. So we appreciate y'all tuning in. And we are out. And we'll see you soon.